The Puck Portfolio with Andy MacNeil.
Hey, welcome to the Puck Portfolio. My name is Andy MacNeil. I'm your host. I'm here on weekdays to provide NHL projections, picks, betting advice, and strategies to help you make informed bets throughout the NHL season. This show is sponsored by NorthStar Bets, good old Canadian sportsbook that you can find in the link in the description below. Check them out. They offer odds on the next day's NHL games, early odds, pretty much earlier than anybody else. So check them out. Great to get down on some great numbers early on the NHL, as we've been doing all season long. And hopefully we'll do that again today here. Going to look ahead to Tuesday's games, but first we'll talk about Monday's projections. Happy Monday. Jake, how are you doing?
Doing great. Happy Monday to everybody. Had a good weekend and lots of fun sports action. So feeling good for the week ahead.
How'd your football picks go this weekend?
A little up and down. I picked the Bills to beat the Cowboys. A lot of people were kind of scratching their heads at that because the Cowboys have been looking good, and then the Bills absolutely destroyed the Cowboys. So feeling good about that one. Of course, Bills Nation probably feeling good about that one too. It's not, there's tons of Bills fans in Ontario, and the Bills were kind of lackluster in recent weeks, but they rattled off two big wins against the Chiefs and the Cowboys. So a lot of people feeling like they're back.
Right on. Yeah, the Cowboys getting pretty hyped up right now, it seemed, or heading into that game anyway. Uh, at least from the casual fans' perspective, which I am when it comes to the NFL, but not when it comes to the NHL. I'm locked in. So let's talk about Monday's projections. We'll get them up on the screen and have a look at the 5-game slate we've got on Monday. Not a lot of interest here just yet. Might have some later. Going to talk about that as we go. But we'll start with the Anaheim Ducks and the Detroit Red Wings in Detroit. Of course, goaltender John Gibson left Sunday's game against the Devils. The Ducks won big against New Jersey on Sunday. But Gibson left after 40 minutes due to an illness. Not sure what his status is heading into Monday's game. And some more Ducks news. Forward Mason McTavish has missed the last 6 games due to an injury, but he was a game-time decision versus New York last week. So he could play as early as today at Detroit, and he's got 21 points in 24 games. The Ducks have been struggling to score. They didn't struggle on Sunday, but overall they've been struggling to score. So getting McTavish back would be a big boost to the lineup. And also forward Trevor Zegras, he returned to practice on Saturday for the first time since missing the Ducks' last 14 games. Zegras has just 2 points in his last 12 games so far this season. That's all he's played. I know fantasy owners can't be happy about that one. They probably already ditched him if possible. And defenseman Jamie Drysdale, who has been out of action since October 15th, also returned to practice on Saturday. No timeline for his return. Of course, both Drysdale and Zegras missed most of training camp due to contract disputes, and pretty unlucky for the Ducks that both players end up on the shelf to start the season pretty much. So that is it for the Ducks. But as far as the Red Wings go, looked like some conflicting reports out here with Dylan Larkin. Of course, the captain has missed the last couple of games, and David Perron, he's also serving a 6-game suspension. But the big one here is Dylan Larkin. Didn't look like he was going to be in tonight. He was at practice this morning, participating in a non-contact jersey, but it does look like he is a go for tonight. So the projection on the screen, which has the Detroit Red Wings as a minus 216 favorite, that's a little bit short, I guess, because I didn't think Larkin would be back tonight. I was expecting him to be back for Wednesday. Had a chance to update things before the show started, but saw that he was in a non-contact jersey and thought that was a pretty good indication that he would not be in the lineup tonight against the Ducks, but looks like he might be. I don't think it's been 100% confirmed. Looks like one report here from a Red Wings reporter, that is Max Boltman, I believe. So per him, Dylan Larkin is in tonight. He'll be in between Patrick Kane and Joe Veleno, Alex DeBrincat, JT Compher, who also returned from injury recently, and Lucas Raymond on the second line. So the Red Wings lineup looking a lot more formidable now that they've got Larkin back, Compher back, of course, the addition of Patrick Kane. It's that one. So you can make the Red Wings a bigger favorite, but what are they at NorthStar Bet right now? They are minus 238. So I've got minus 216 without Larkin. Put him back in the lineup, we're probably around that minus 240 point. No play on the Red Wings, unfortunately. But yeah, if you had anticipated that Larkin was going to be back, could have played the Red Wings earlier, maybe last night, even on Sunday night, in anticipation of his return. Would have been a good price at that point, but not anymore. Let's move on to Minnesota. Jared Spurgeon, he's missed the last 2 games due to a lower body injury. Jonas Brodin was put on LTIR, long-term injured reserve, and is expected to be out until early January. So the Minnesota Wild could be without 2 big defensemen. They're going to be without one, but if Spurgeon does not play, then they are without 2 very, very important players, 2 really great defensemen, specifically on the defensive side of things, on the shelf right now. And that's going to put them in tough against the Penguins, who I don't even want to talk about this team after their absolute destruction that they experienced at the hands of the Toronto Maple Leafs on Saturday, and they had everything go in their favor. They had Martin Jones in goal for the Maple Leafs, no Austin Matthews, who was out due to illness, and the Penguins didn't even have a chance. Looks like forward Rickard Rakell is close to a return, but Brian Rust was placed on injured reserve on Saturday, considered week to week. The model has the Penguins as a small favorite here, minus 126, small-ish favorite, I guess. And NorthStar Bets currently has the Penguins at minus 123. Certainly can see why the Penguins are a favorite. I don't think they've played very well as of late, especially over the last month. But I can see why they should be a favorite here against this Minnesota Wild team, who could be without 2 of their 2 top defensemen. And that could really hurt and give the Penguins actually a chance to win a game here. So yeah, no play on the Penguins, would lean Pittsburgh or nothing, but don't really want to take any of that action considering how Pittsburgh has played, and maybe Spurgeon is back. We don't know yet. Moving on, we've got Florida in Calgary taking on the Flames. Of course, Matthew Tkachuk making another trip back to Calgary. I'm sure he'll receive a warm reception. I guess on that note, he didn't do the Flames the way Johnny Gaudreau did the Flames. I think Tkachuk, I think he left on a little bit better terms. Maybe not. I don't know. But yeah. So defenseman Aaron Ekblad missed Saturday's game in Edmonton. Saturday's big win over the Oilers. The Oilers have dropped 2 in a row. Talked about that on Friday, about how their odds were getting kind of inflated over the last little bit. Of course, they had won 8 in a row. Well, they've dropped the last 2 against Tampa Bay and Florida. But yeah, we don't know if Aaron Ekblad will be in this game against the Flames on Monday. If he's not, I still think the Florida Panthers, or the model still thinks the Florida Panthers, should be a minus 121 favorite. Obviously, they'd be a bigger favorite if Ekblad is in the lineup. NorthStar Bets has the Panthers as a minus 122 favorite right now. Flames defenseman Chris Tanev has missed the last 3 games, but might return on Monday, so that's something to look out for. But the game that I want to zero in on here, I don't necessarily have a bet here yet, or I don't have a bet, and I might not have a bet on this game. But the game that I want to talk about the most is Dallas and Seattle, because right now, if Jake Ottinger is back in the Stars crease, I think the Dallas Stars should be a minus 159 favorite. If he's not, though, and if it's Scott Wedgwood, as Jake Ottinger was injured early in the first period on Friday, he did not travel with the team to St. Louis. So it could be Scott Wedgwood here on Monday. The Stars, they're hosting the Seattle Kraken. He's won 6 out of 9 games so far, but statistically, I think he's been, pretty average or below average more often than not. I know he can be better. He has been better in the past, but he's still a downgrade from Ottinger. So the number that you see on the screen right now has the Stars as a minus 159 favorite. That number drops a little bit here if it is Scott Wedgwood, down to the minus 149 area, already accounting for the possibility of Wedgwood a little bit already. But if it is Ottinger, that would move the Kraken right out of range. If it is Wedgwood, I'm going to put a half unit play down on the Seattle Kraken at plus 165. Plus 160, actually. I would still consider doing that at plus 160. So we'll see here what happens. Clearly, the line has moved a little bit towards the Seattle Kraken. They were just plus 165 a little while ago. Now plus 160 at NorthStar Bets. But that'll be my only bet for Monday, if anything. Look, I'm trying to make advantage plays here. I'm not just picking games for the sake of it. I want to bet numbers, not teams. So I'm betting the Kraken at plus 160 maybe, because I think that they should be priced a lot lower if Scott Wedgwood is in the crease for the Dallas Stars. We don't know if he is yet. If that changes in the run of this show, then I'll lock in the Seattle Kraken. But Dallas ranks 22nd in expected goals percentage at 5-on-5 over the last month, the last 14 games. 48.3% mark in that category. They've scored just 45.9% of the goals at 5-on-5, according to Evolving Hockey during that 14-game stretch. The Stars ranked 31st in goals against at 5-on-5 over the last month, so Ottinger hasn't really been helping them out all that much. Anyway, that groups them with teams like the Ducks, the Sharks, the Blackhawks, the Blue Jackets, the Blues, who rank 32nd in goals against at 5-on-5 during that stretch. But Dallas still ranks 8th in shot attempts percentage, so that's good. But the Kraken, they rank 7th in shot attempt percentage, and they sit just outside the top 10th in expected goals percentage at 13th right now over the last month. So the Kraken kind of playing at their ceiling. Dallas definitely playing at their floor right now, coming off a loss to the St. Louis Blues. So I'm looking at the Kraken. They're my line to watch right now. That's it for Monday. Let's move on to Tuesday's games. If we can, we'll pull up the projections on the screen and talk about the Philadelphia Flyers at the New Jersey Devils, because you guys know that I'm a lot higher on this Flyers team than the market is. I've been betting on the Flyers a lot, and that's what's happening here on Tuesday. We're gonna see where the Flyers are at right now. Still at plus 170, so that's my best bet for Tuesday. I'm gonna lock it in right now, officially on the tracking, on my tracking sheet here, and yeah, plus 170 on the Philadelphia Flyers. I think this is a great price. I'm going to talk a little bit about why here in a minute. But yeah, lock that in. 1 unit to win 1.7 units on the Philadelphia Flyers. So, despite the ugly loss to the Ducks on Sunday, I still think the Devils are a good team, particularly at 5-on-5. The model says they'll beat the Flyers almost 59% of the time. So what are you doing, Andy? Why are you betting the Flyers? Well, look, that means New Jersey's money line odds should be minus 143, not minus 208, which they are currently at NorthStar Bets. And yeah, that means the Flyers should be plus 143, not plus 170. So, of course, goaltender Carter Hart has missed the past 2 games due to an illness. Travis Sanheim looks like he's out due to that same illness. He didn't play in Saturday's game. The Flyers will have had 2 days off, though, and I'm hoping that both players are back in the lineup. That gives them a 1-day rest advantage over New Jersey, and I just think this number is way too big. Plus 170 should be closer to plus 140, plus into that plus 145 range. And I'm going to play the Flyers regardless of whether I know that if Carter Hart or Travis Sanheim will be back in the lineup. I'm going to guess that at least one of them will be back in the lineup. I don't think I'll be that unlucky to have both of those guys out again. Carter Hart, I mean, he's had lots of time to recover. I know he has had more sick days than my 8-year-old so far this season. Missed 2 games with food poisoning, apparently. Now 2 games due to this illness. So Carter Hart, maybe got a weak tummy. I don't know. But anyway, Flyers plus 170. That's my best bet for Tuesday. And I've got my eye on a couple of other things, but it's tough because there's a lot here. There's a lot of things going on here. So we got Minnesota at Boston. We've got David Pastrnak. He avoided the hearing for his hit on Ryan Lindgren on Saturday. I know Rangers fans are crying about that. Suck it up. Charlie McAvoy and Pavel Zacha both eligible to return from injuries, though, and still unclear if they will or not. But both players participating in practice here on Monday. So good possibility that we see one, if not both, back in the lineup on Tuesday. But as mentioned, the Wild, they could be possibly be without Jared Spurgeon on top of Brodin, who is definitely going to be out. They're playing their second game in as many days, so things could really shift towards the Bruins here if they get healthier, if they get McAvoy and Zacha back, and things stay the same for the Wild. So Boston or nothing at this point. The Bruins currently a minus 182 favorite. The model has the minus 181 without Zacha and McAvoy. So they should be a much bigger favorite if Spurgeon is out. The Wild are on the second half of a back-to-back, but not going to lock in anything until we know that both of those players are going to be back in the lineup. It is a big price. Don't want to egregiously lay down 1.8 units to win 1 unit here, but that is one to watch for sure. Columbus, man, can't catch any breaks. This team, I kind of like them, right? I think they're a team that I can justify betting on sometimes at the right prices, but forward Patrick Laine, he's out again. He suffered a fractured collarbone, will be out until at least late January. He has just 9 points in 18 games, 6 goals. So really not contributing all that much, but I mean his ceiling is so much higher than that, and maybe he could have found a way to be a better contributor to the lineup if he had stayed healthy. But the big one here, Boone Jenner, expected to miss the next 6 weeks after suffering a fractured jaw. Jenner leads the Blue Jackets with 13 goals in 29 games played this season, so that is a tough one to swallow. Buffalo minus 164 according to the model. Sportsbooks have it minus 182. So hard to capitalize on an injury that has been, the news has been out there for a while now. Can't really do anything about that. Vegas defenseman Shea Theodore transferred to LTIR on Saturday. And weirdly, goaltender Aiden Hill returned on Sunday after missing 7 games. He left just 6:25 into the first period, though, after stopping 2 of 3 shots. Looked like he made an awkward save. Not sure what his status is right now heading into Tuesday. Of course, Carolina still without Andrei Svechnikov. He's out indefinitely, according to head coach Rod Brendamore. So we will looks like we probably won't see Svechnikov until maybe after the holidays. That'll be something to watch. But Carolina, sort of a goaltender circus going on right there right now. They've brought in Aaron Dell on a professional tryout. They brought in Yaroslav Halak earlier this season on a professional tryout. That didn't turn into an NHL contract. I'm skeptical that Aaron Dell's professional tryout will turn into an NHL contract, but we'll see. But yeah, something to watch there with the Carolina Hurricanes. The Colorado Avalanche defenseman Cale Makar, he's missed the past 2 games due to a lower body injury. Not sure if he will be back in the lineup on Tuesday when they host the Chicago Blackhawks, who are without defenseman Seth Jones. He was placed on IR on Saturday. In general, the Blackhawks are banged up, not to mention when you compare the current lineup to what they started the season with, you've also got to consider players like Taylor Hall, Corey Perry. They're no longer around. This team is a lot more worse off than they were when the season started, even a month ago. And it's no wonder that they've now got the best odds of finishing in last place according to the CSB NHL projection model, which will be updated in a little bit at CanadaSportsBetting.ca. But I'd have interest if Cale Makar was back in the lineup. I think that minus 250, the current odds at NorthStar Bets, is a good price. It's the best price in market right now. I don't think it's going to go the other way. And I was considering a 2-teamer here with 2 big favorites. And yeah, it looks square on the surface, but if we knew Cam Talbot was going to start for the Los Angeles Kings, we don't. I'm going to talk a little bit about why here right away, but we don't. But if we did, I would be laying, or not laying, I would be taking the plus money price here that a 2-team parlay would pay out at minus 233 and minus 250, even money. I think that has a 56% chance of winning, but we don't know if Cam Talbot is going to play. So I would not parlay the Avs and the Kings. That's just something I was considering here this morning, because if Cam Talbot is in the crease for the LA Kings, I think their odds of winning this game should be around 73.5%. That equates to minus 278 in favor of the LA Kings. But Phoenix Copley was placed on IR over the weekend. And David Riddick will serve as Cam Talbot's backup during his absence. So the Kings, they're in action again on Wednesday. So they're playing Tuesday and Wednesday back to back. They're playing the Kraken, a tougher matchup than the Sharks. So I could definitely see Riddick getting the start on Tuesday in San Jose. That would nullify whatever edge Talbot would provide here on this minus 233 money line. But if something comes out here in the next little while that suggests that Cam Talbot actually will be in goal on Tuesday, well, I think that parlaying the Colorado Avalanche at minus 250 and the LA Kings at minus 235 now at NorthStar Bets, That works out to an even money play. I think that has a 56% chance of winning, but of course, with David Riddick in net, that would not be a good thing for that parlay. And the same goes for if Kale McCarr doesn't start or doesn't play in the game, that would hurt the parlay too. So I'm not going to do that. Kind of sad not to do that because I think it's a good opportunity here, especially if things, go my way in terms of the news and the injuries. But I'm just sticking with the Flyers for now. Possibly a bet on the Kraken here. We'll see. We'll do a little bit of an update to see if anything's come out here. Yeah, Scott Wedgwood, he's going to start. So let's lock in a half unit bet on the Kraken. Before we get out of here, let's do it. Seattle. All right. So, yeah, plus 168 is the best price in market, but that is not widely available by any means. There is still plus 160 at some bigger sports books, and there's still plus 160 at NorthStar Bets. So, we're going to lock in plus 160 half unit for Monday night. Like I said it earlier or late last week, talked about the Stars, how they've been low key bad for a month now, talked about how I was leaning Blues on Saturday night. Wouldn't you know, the Blues won. Going to officially lock in the Stars' opponent here on Monday, and that is the Seattle Kraken at plus 160, a half unit to win 0.8 unit. Jake, we got anything that we should be getting to before we get out of here?
Yeah, JH in the chat saying Ottinger now week to week, so it doesn't seem like he's going to be coming back anytime soon. And Connor asking if you have any love for the Habs at plus 205 on Monday.
Well, I mean, do I have any love for the Habs? No, I'll never have any love for the Habs. Only pure hatred. Um, 205, certainly not. Like the best price in market right now, plus 220. That's at a market making sports book, a big one, Pinnacle Sports. So a good rule of thumb, and I know Connor and I have talked about this in the past, and he feels the same way. But when Pinnacle has the best price in market, that's a kind of a tell that all the sharp action here is on the other side. And while I might take some Montreal Canadiens, I did have Hellebuck and Brossois 50-50, but now it looks like it is going to be Hellebuck based on what I'm seeing here. So the Jets, a slightly bigger favorite than what the model shows them at right now at minus 178. You could probably put them up around minus 190 now. So now, yeah, I do still have love for the Montreal Canadiens. Oh, damn it, I said it. But anyways, yeah, I do. I definitely lean Montreal here. But with how this one is, most of a lot of these sports books, 2-1 plus 205 plus 215 even, but plus 220 sticking out at the one sports book that you don't really want to see it sticking out at. You'd rather be picking off those prices on the other side at other sports books. When Penny is plus 205 rather than the other way around. So no, I wouldn't. I'm not going to lock in the Montreal Canadiens right now. That'll be a late one. But yeah, the model says Montreal or nothing. What do you feel? What do you feel about this game, Jake?
Yeah,
Or
I
your
will.
team?
I will say this: this Christmas time trip is usually brutal for the Habs. The Habs always get kicked out around Christmas from the Bell Center. They usually have Cirque du Soleil. They have concerts in there, and they go away for like 2 or 3 weeks and don't come back to the Bell Center until the New Year. Traditionally, it's really brutal. I think they've got 10 wins in 40 games or something like that in the last 5 years, not counting the COVID year. So, yeah, it's usually rough. So take the numbers
Yeah,
into
and
account, but also take the
I'm not
history into account.
factoring in the withdrawal from the Montreal strip clubs either, right? Like I don't factor that in. Like
Yeah,
going
yeah,
that long of a stretch without getting their fix, that could have a big impact on things. And
yeah.
I
The
mean,
downtown Winnipeg strip clubs are not really doing it on the same level,
yeah, I don't think so. I don't think Winnipeg can hold a candle to Montreal in that regard. But yeah, I mean, the Canadians are always a tough sell, but you can see why there's value on them. And I mean, it's tough to price this Jets team right now. So I mean, like maybe don't take my model at face value all the time in a situation like this where I'm trying to I'm trying to estimate and quantify what the loss of Kyle Connor means, while also trying to kind of at the same time figure out what Gabriel Velarde being back full time means to the team. He's been back for a little while now. It's a different look for this Winnipeg team. But I don't think enough people are talking about how bad the Pierre-Luc Dubois. I know Michael Clifford, a friend of mine who writes some great stuff for Dauber Hockey and some other publications, mostly geared towards fantasy, but you can read his stuff and gain some pretty good insights, on things from a betting perspective as well. I think you look at how Velarde, of course, he's been injured this season, but you look at how he's played for Winnipeg versus how Pierre-Luc Dubois has been for the LA Kings, and things have worked out well for the Winnipeg Jets. They've got to be happy. Velarde is looking like a guy that's going to be, a long-term fixture in Winnipeg and somebody that you can build around and somebody that probably wants to play there. So maybe they could start, filling up the rink a little more. Does Winnipeg have good bagels? Well, you know what? I don't know. Uh, Winnipeg, I've beelined it through Winnipeg every time. The two times that I've traveled through Winnipeg, I don't think I stopped. I've met some rough characters from Winnipeg too, so that has a little bit to do with it. If you're from the peg, you're probably tough as nails, unlike those Montreal folks.
Yeah, we're too soft. We got buttered up too much by our bagels and our strip club, so we haven't lived a hard life yet.
Greatest city in Canada, though. I hate your hockey team, but Montreal is absolutely the greatest city in Canada, and it's not close.
Yeah, to go back to Velarde, I saw someone suggesting that if the trade were 1-for-1 today, that Winnipeg would Velarde for Dubois, Winnipeg would still win. So it's definitely soured on Dubois.
Yeah, for sure. Connor saying Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega are both from Winnipeg, so it can't be that bad of a place. Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, Chris Jericho, I liked him better when I liked him better 15 years ago. That's for sure. But yeah, no, I mean, um, pretty, 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 pretty interesting week of hockey coming up here. I guess we could do a little bit of a schedule breakdown before we get out of here. Jake, we've got just a few days to look over here: Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Yeah. So, of course, the Ducks on the second half of back to back. Other than that, and the Dallas Stars playing their third game in 4 nights. But other than that, everybody playing on 1 day's rest. The Minnesota Wild, they're on the second half of back to back in Boston on Tuesday. The Devils playing their third game in 4 nights. As I mentioned, the Flyers are best bet for Tuesday. They've got a rest advantage here over the Devils. They've had 2 days off. But not a whole lot out of the ordinary here for the next few days. Some back to backs, some 3 and 4 nights, some 4 and 6 nights, but all things considered, a pretty normal week in the NHL. Of course, we're going to play until I believe Saturday, and then yeah, Christmas Eve on Sunday. So the NHL plays until the 23rd, breaks on the 24th, 25th, and 26th. They're back on the 27th. For what will be, I'm sure, a big slate after a 3-day break, and we're not sure what the schedule will be for our show, the Puck Portfolio, but we're going to figure that out over the next couple of days here, and find out when we'll be back after the holidays. Of course, we'll be here right up until Friday. Looking ahead to the, closing out this stretch here, looking ahead to the 23rd on Friday. But after the holidays, I'm still not sure if we'll be back on the 27th or the 28th. We will figure that out here in the next little bit and let you guys know so that you can plan accordingly, fit us into your holiday plans accordingly. So yeah, that does it for today's episode of the Puck Portfolio. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate the banter in the chat. Any World Junior, I don't know. the Clearasil Cup. I don't know. I do I have do I have another person to research an entirely different league format, teams, etc. I don't probably not, unless if Jeff Follett wants to inform me with a bunch of roster analysis or something. He probably doesn't have the time either. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
I'll say probably not on this show, but we're gonna have tons of World Junior coverage on
yeah.
the Canada Sports Betting website. So check it out throughout that entire
I
tournament.
might be able to find some angles maybe, but as far as flushed out coverage, um, I think we're gonna have to we're gonna have to point to CanadaSportsBetting.ca. Jeff Follett will have some content up there, I'm sure, coming in the next couple of days, right, Jake?
Yeah, I think so. I think the coverage should be coming down pretty soon. We were just discussing it this morning, but yeah, it should be wall to wall coverage for the World Juniors. A little dissection before it starts, and then game breakdowns, especially for Canada's games on game day.
Absolutely, like it's absolutely a great tournament to bet if you have the time to handicap it, and I mean, if I can find the time to find some angles, yeah, I wanna get down on some of these games because, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's probably people looking at things in a lot of different ways, analyzing a lot of different data, unlike the NHL where everybody's kind of looking at the same stuff and zoned in on the same stuff, but yeah, if I can find an angle to try to exploit, but as far as making daily picks for the World Juniors, no, I won't be doing that. It'll only be if something comes up. I don't even really pay attention to the World Juniors every year because I'm so locked into the NHL and there's enough on my plate there already. But we'll see. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the question, Doctor Flush. Jake, what's your Monday night football play before we get out of here?
Yeah, just like Connor, I didn't really have much for Monday Night Football. I wouldn't be too surprised the Seahawks cover tonight. I think the line's gone down a little bit since I wrote my article. I think it's around 3.5. If the line's 3.5, I wouldn't shy away from putting a little bit on the Seahawks to cover. But other than that, I think it's going to be a kind of a bland one with the Eagles taking it.
All right. If you haven't already, please like the video, subscribe to the Canada Sports Betting YouTube channel, helps out a ton. We're trying to grow this thing, hopefully coming out with some new content in the new year on a regular basis. But right now, status quo, going to be just dishing out the daily projections and picks as usual on the channel. So we've got 4 shows left this week. Looking forward to doing those all with you here each day on the Canada Sports Betting YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck with your bets. Go Kraken, go Flyers. We'll talk to you again on Tuesday.